Every family has a person who keeps everyone together. But what happens when that person is suddenly gone? Can the family survive without the heart that held it all together? Welcome to Movie Bites, where we celebrate the movies that left a lasting impact on audiences everywhere. Today we're revisiting Soul Food, a touching drama about love, family, forgiveness, and the traditions that define who we are. Join us as we look back at the stars who made this film unforgettable and discover how they've changed since the movie first premiered in 1997. First up is Big Mama Joe. Now, what can I say about Big Mama? Honestly, where do you even begin? Big Mama wasn't just another character in the movie. She was the foundation, the heartbeat, the reason everybody kept showing up to that table every Sunday in the first place. She had this way of making people feel loved, even when they were getting on her last nerve. She could give you a lecture, put you in your place, and make you a plate of food all in the same conversation. That's a gift a lot of grandmothers seem to have. What I love most about Big Mama is that she understood something the rest of the family didn't. The legendary Irma P was around 62 years old when she played Big Mama, and I honestly can't imagine anyone else in the role. She brought so much warmth, wisdom, strength, and authenticity to the character that she didn't feel like an actress playing a grandmother. She felt like everybody's grandmother. And can I be honest for a second? I want Irma to live forever. Every time I see her, that's genuinely how I feel. She has one of those presences that just makes you smile. The woman has given us so many memorable performances over the years, and somehow she still carries that same grace and warmth today. Now 91 years old, Irma remains a beloved figure among movie fans. At the end of the day, Big Mama Joe wasn't just the matriarch of the Joseph family. She was the soul of soul food itself. Because when Big Mama was there, everybody had a place to come home to. And when she was gone, everybody finally learned just how much she had been holding together all along. If Mama Joe was the heart of the family, Terry was the one trying to keep everything under control. Played by Vanessa Williams, Terry Joseph was the oldest of the three sisters and in many ways, the most successful. She had the high-powered career, the expensive lifestyle, and the image of a woman who had it all figured out. At least, that's what everybody thought. Behind the designer clothes and professional success was a woman carrying more pressure than anyone realized. Terry had spent years being the responsible one, the sister everyone expected to have the answers. But with that responsibility came resentment, and as tensions within the family grew, those feelings became harder and harder to hide. Terry often clashed with her sisters, especially Maxine. Their arguments weren't just about money or family decisions. They were years of hurt feelings, misunderstandings, and sibling rivalry finally boiling over. What made Terry such an interesting character was that she wasn't a villain. She genuinely loved her family. She simply struggled to express it in a way they could understand. Vanessa Williams was 34 years old when she stepped into the role, and by that point she was already one of the most recognizable women in entertainment. After making history as the first black woman crowned Miss America, she built an impressive career as a singer, actress, and performer. Her portrayal of Terry brought both strength and vulnerability to the screen. One moment she could command a room with confidence, and the next she could reveal the insecurities hiding beneath the surface. Following Soul Food, Vanessa Williams continued to thrive in both television and film, appearing in projects such as Ugly Betty, Desperate Housewives, and numerous stage productions. She also maintained a successful music career, proving her talent extended far beyond acting. Now in her 60s, Vanessa Williams remains an icon whose career has spanned decades. But for many fans of Soul Food, she'll always be Terry, the sister who seemed to have everything, yet spent much of her life searching for the one thing money couldn't buy. Next on our list is Ahmad, played beautifully by Hammond. Now, if you love this movie, you know Ahmad wasn't just some kid sitting at the kids' table, waiting for the macaroni and cheese. He was the literal heart, soul, and narrator of the entire story. And being Maxine's son, he was always right in the middle of everything going on in the family. While the adults were completely consumed by their own chaotic lives, fighting over money, dealing with cheating spouses, and letting old sibling rivalries tear them apart, Ahmad was the one watching from the sidelines. He was just a kid trying to make sense of a world that was spinning out of control. But he cared too much to just sit back and watch his family fall apart. When Big Mama fell ill, Ahmad basically put the weight of the entire family legacy on his young shoulders. What makes Ahmad so deeply relatable is that he wasn't just a passive bystander. He was clever, a little mischievous, and fiercely determined. Think about it. This kid literally cooked up a whole scheme, lying to his feuding aunts and uncles just to trick them into coming to Sunday dinner. It was risky, and maybe a little manipulative, but it came from a place of pure love. Brandon Hammond was only 13 years old when he took on this role, but his performance had the emotional weight of a seasoned veteran. Before this, he had already built an impressive resume with roles in Menace to Society, Waiting to Exhale, and Space Jam. And if you're anything like me, you probably remember him from Tales from the Hood too. Back in the 90s, Brandon was everywhere and looked destined to become one of Hollywood's biggest stars. But life had other plans. As the years went on, Brandon stepped away from acting for family reasons. His mother became seriously ill, and he made the difficult decision to put his Hollywood career on hold so he could help take care of his younger siblings. That's a sacrifice most people never have to make, especially at an age when his career was taking off. And then we have Maxine, portrayed by Vivica A. Fox. Now on the surface, Maxine looked like she had it all figured out. Out of the three sisters, she was probably the one in the most stable relationship. Her husband Kenny was a calm, level-headed guy who genuinely loved his family, and together they were raising two children, Ahmad and his little sister. Compared to some of the chaos happening elsewhere in the family, Maxine's home life seemed pretty solid. As much as I liked Maxine, she was living Terry's life. Let's just call it what it was. The man she was married to was the same man Terry had fallen in love with years earlier. Maxine ended up with him, built a family with him, and moved on with her life. Now, whether enough time had passed or not is up for debate, but I've always felt that wasn't exactly fair to Terry. That's a difficult thing for any sister to accept, and honestly, it's no surprise there was still tension underneath the surface. As for Vivica A. Fox, she was around 33 years old when Soul Food was released, and was right in the middle of becoming one of the biggest stars of the late 90s. Just a year earlier, audiences had seen her in the blockbuster Independence Day, and I also remember watching her in Set It Off, where she absolutely held her own alongside an incredible cast. After Soul Food, her career kept rolling with films like Booty Call, Don't Be a Menace to South Central While Drinking Your Juice in the Hood, Two Can Play That Game, and many more. And I've got to say it, I love this woman. Vivica was one of the most beautiful actresses of her era. She had the smile, the confidence, the charisma, and a screen presence that immediately grabbed your attention whenever she appeared. That's the Vivica I remember most. Today, Vivica A. Fox is 61 years old and continues to thrive in the entertainment industry. Whether she's acting, producing, hosting, or mentoring younger talent, she's remained a familiar face for multiple generations of fans. But for Soul Food fans, she'll always be Maxine, the sister who seemed to have the perfect family on the outside, even if some complicated history was still lingering underneath. And then we have Kenny, portrayed by Jeffrey D. Sams in Soul Food 1997. This guy was every woman's dream. At a time when so many relationships around him were dealing with drama, heartbreak, and family conflict, Kenny seemed like the complete package. He was Maxine's husband, well-spoken, hardworking, and dependable. He had a good job, carried himself with confidence, and together with Maxine, they were building a stable and successful life. What made Kenny stand out was that he was genuinely a good man. He wasn't involved in unnecessary drama, and he always tried to do right by the people around him. Kenny's story carried another layer, because before he became Maxine's husband, he and Terry had once been involved. In many ways, Kenny was the one who got away. Watching him build a life with her sister wasn't always easy for Terry, and that history quietly added tension to the Joseph family dynamic. But Soul Food wasn't about perfect people. As the pressures of marriage and life began to build, Kenny's relationship with Maxine faced challenges of its own. His story became a reminder that even good men make mistakes and that strong relationships require work, trust, and forgiveness. Jeffrey D. Sams was 31 years old when he brought Kenny to life, giving the character a natural charm and maturity that made him instantly likable. Before Soul Food, he had already built a solid acting career with appearances in film and television, earning a reputation as a dependable performer. Now 59 years old, Jeffrey D. Sams remains respected for a career spanning decades. But for many fans, he'll always be remembered as Kenny, the well-dressed, well-spoken family man who tried to help those around him and prove that being a good husband, a true brother, and a dependable provider isn't always as easy as it looks. What would you do if your wife started showing signs that she might be cheating on you? Maybe she keeps talking to an old boyfriend. Maybe she's spending more time with him than you're comfortable with. Maybe she's having conversations behind your back and telling herself it's harmless. Would you ignore it? Would you trust her? Or would it slowly start eating away at your marriage? That question sits at the center of Bird's story in Soul Food. Played by Nia Long, Bird was the youngest of the Joseph sisters and, in many ways, the one who seemed to have it all. A loving family, a husband who adored her, and a future full of possibilities. But things weren't as perfect as they appeared. Bird made more money than her husband Lem, and at times she wasn't shy about letting him know it. While Lem struggled to find steady work, Bird became the primary breadwinner, creating a strain that neither of them knew how to address properly. Then there was Samuel St. James, Bird's former boyfriend. Wanting to help Lem find a job, Bird reached out to Samuel behind her husband's back. On paper, it sounded innocent enough. But Samuel clearly had other intentions. He flirted openly with Bird, and instead of shutting him down immediately, she seemed comfortable entertaining the conversations. From Lem's perspective, that wasn't a good look. Whether Bird was actually cheating or not isn't really the point. The issue was perception. Trust is fragile, and when your spouse starts hiding things or spending time with someone who clearly wants more than friendship, doubts begin to grow. It's one of the reasons Bird remains such a fascinating character. She wasn't a villain, and she wasn't trying to hurt her husband, but she made choices that put her marriage in a difficult position, forcing viewers to ask themselves how they would react if they were in Lem's shoes. One thing that's hard to ignore is the special bond Bird shared with Mama Jo. Out of all three sisters, it often felt like Bird was Mama Jo's favorite. There was a closeness between them that stood out throughout the film. Mama Jo seemed to have a soft spot for her youngest daughter, offering her guidance, understanding, and affection in ways that felt a little different from her relationships with Terry and Maxine. Perhaps Mama Jo saw something of herself in Bird, or maybe she simply understood that Bird needed her more than the others did. Nia Long was 27 years old when Soul Food was released in 1997, and she brought a natural warmth to the role that made audiences connect with Bird, despite her flaws. Now 55 years old, Nia Long remains one of the most respected actresses in Hollywood, with a career that has spanned more than 3 decades. But for many fans, she'll always be Bird, the youngest Joseph sister, Mama Jo's baby girl, and the woman whose choices left audiences debating one question long after the credits rolled. If you were Lem, would you have trusted her? Let's talk about Lem for a minute. Out of all the characters in Soul Food, Lem might be one of the most misunderstood. Played by Mekhi Phifer, Lem wasn't some lazy husband sitting around waiting for handouts. The reality was much more complicated than that. Before the events of the film, Lem had spent time in prison. And anyone who's ever tried to rebuild their life after incarceration knows it isn't easy. Once you've got a record, doors start closing before you even get a chance to explain yourself. When Lem got out, he struggled to find work. And honestly, who was lining up to hire a man fresh out of jail? Every interview seemed to lead nowhere. Every opportunity felt just out of reach. The world expected him to move forward, but it wasn't exactly giving him a chance to do it. The film does a good job showing that frustration through his interactions with Ahmad. You can see a man trying to hold himself together while quietly carrying the weight of failure on his shoulders. He wanted to be productive. He wanted to provide. He wanted to be respected. Mekhi Phifer brought all of that frustration, pride, and vulnerability to the screen perfectly. But make no mistake, he wasn't new to Hollywood. At the time Soul Food was released, Mekhi was just 23 years old, yet he had already made an impression on audiences. His breakout role came in the hood classic Clockers, where he delivered a powerful performance that immediately put him on Hollywood's radar. After Soul Food, his career continued to soar. He went on to appear in films such as I Still Know What You Did Last Summer, Paid in Full, 8 Mile, and Honey, proving that he could hold his own alongside some of the biggest names in the industry. His success wasn't limited to movies either. Television audiences came to know him through his long-running role on the medical drama ER. He also appeared in popular shows such as Lie to Me, further showcasing his versatility as an actor. Now 51 years old, Mekhi Phifer continues to work in film and television, building on a career that has lasted more than 3 decades. But for many fans of Soul Food, he'll always be Lem, the man trying to rebuild his life, save his marriage, and prove that one mistake shouldn't define the rest of your future. See this guy right here? Miles was one of the most frustrating characters in Soul Food 1997 because you could understand why he was unhappy without agreeing with what he did. When we meet Miles, he's married to Terry, a successful attorney who has worked hard to build the life they share. On the surface, they seem like the perfect couple, but beneath it all, their marriage is falling apart. Miles dreams of leaving law behind and pursuing music, but Terry doesn't believe in that dream the way he wants her to. Over time, the lack of support leaves him feeling stuck, resentful, and disconnected from the woman he loves. But here's the thing. No matter how unhappy Miles was, he didn't have to cheat on Terry with her own cousin, Faith. That's the decision that changes everything. Watching Terry discover the affair is still one of the most heartbreaking moments in the film. Honestly, I felt sorry for Terry. She may have been controlling at times, but nobody deserves that kind of betrayal from both their husband and a family member they trusted. What makes Miles such an interesting character is that Soul Food doesn't treat him like a straight-up villain. He's a flawed man making selfish choices while dealing with frustration, disappointment, and dreams that seem out of reach. You may get where he's coming from, but that doesn't make what he did any easier to forgive. Michael Beach brought a lot of humanity to the role. He didn't play Miles as a bad guy. He played him as a real person whose mistakes ended up hurting the people closest to him. That's why the character still sparks debate all these years later. Before Soul Food, Michael Beach had already made a name for himself in films like Lean on Me and Waiting to Exhale, where he became known for playing another unforgettable, unfaithful husband. But Soul Food gave him the chance to show more layers, proving there was much more to his talent than one type of role. After Soul Food, Beach went on to have a very successful career, appearing in countless television shows and films while remaining one of the most reliable actors in Hollywood. Now 63 years old, he's still active and still working, a testament to the longevity of his career. No matter how many roles he takes on, though, for a lot of fans he'll always be Miles, the talented musician who felt trapped in his own life, made a choice he could never take back, and paid the price for it. And finally, we've got Cousin Faith, played by Gina Rivera. When she first comes on screen in Soul Food, I'm not even gonna lie, you're thinking, yeah, she's beautiful. She's got that calm, soft presence that just pulls you in straight away, and you can see why the family welcomes her with open arms. But that's where things start to shift, because Faith isn't just some outsider passing through, she's Terry's cousin. Family. Someone who's supposed to be safe. And instead of staying out of Miles and Terry's messy situation, she gets pulled right into it, and crosses a line she never should have crossed. When she and Miles start their affair, it doesn't just break a marriage, it shakes the whole family. And honestly, you can't help it. I felt sorry for Terry. Imagine finding out your husband is cheating on you with your own cousin. That kind of betrayal hits different. Gina Rivera played Faith in a way that makes it even more complicated. She's not written like a straight villain. You see the charm, you see the hesitation, you even see the guilt. But at that point, the damage is already done. Before Soul Food, Gina Rivera had already appeared in films like Showgirls. After the film, She went on to build a solid, successful career in television, especially with standout roles like The Closer. She was around 31 years old at the time, and now she's 60 years old today, still respected in the industry. But for a lot of people watching Soul Food, she'll always be Cousin Faith, the one who walked in looking unforgettable and walked out leaving chaos behind. Family isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up. It's about sitting at the same table even when you're angry. It's about forgiving people when they don't deserve it. It's about choosing love over pride. And that's the message for today. If Soul Food taught you something like it did to me, go ahead and share in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And until next time, take care.